Hey Reefers, welcome back to the channel. This is my Acroberry, and this is the level of growth I've achieved in the last 90 days. And the whole purpose of this video today is just to show you what's achievable and what's realistic. I think I've got pretty average growth in this latest reef tank of mine. But you can see I've encrusted the plug fully with this coral. It's now onto the rock. Better polyp extension, color is holding in okay, but I typically worry about color later. But that's a good example of what you'll achieve in 90 days. Now I'm going to cover several different other corals I have and show you what they've done over the last 90 days. So stay tuned. Alright, now next up is a gray coral eFlow, and the previous Acroberry is a gray coral too. But this coral is doing pretty good too, just like the first one. It's encrusted over the plug, and we're now working ourselves onto the rock, and we've got a few new shoots coming up. So that's pretty good growth, I would say, in a 90-day period. And then typically after you get the encrusting happening and these shoots coming, then the real growth starts taking off. So it's going to be exciting to see what happens over the course of the next 90 days. Now here is my Pearlberry, and the Pearlberry is one of my favorite corals. It's a classic. It looks really good when it gets large. And so, I'm actually kind of disappointed with how it's looking. The growth has been pretty slow, to be honest. You can see it's encrusted onto the plug some, but nowhere near the rock. Color isn't quite as good, I would say. I'm getting some better polyp extension, but I recently increased the par. It was at about 280, and now it's pushing about 350, 360. So I've increased the par. We're going to see if that can pick up the pace a little bit, but definitely not growing as fast as I would like over the last 90 days. Next up is a classic red planet, and it's just encrusting, but it's encrusting really fast, and it's kind of hard to see. The camera's, it's kind of washed out, but it's made its way onto the rock pretty quickly, and it's going, I can notice almost growth every day, every other day of the encrusting anyway. It's not branching by any means, but from what I hear and what I understand, I haven't had a red planet before in the past, but it's an OG type of coral, and people say it just encrusts a lot. It likes a nice base before it starts shooting upwards. So I'm generally pretty happy with this. Again, polyp extension is looking a little better to me. So that's 90 days of growth there. So forgive me, this isn't an Acropora. It's an encrusting Monty, but you can see these corals grow fast. This is nearly at the bottom of the tank, and it's encrusted over my messy glue job and well onto the rock and spreading like wildfire. And this is probably a coral I may regret putting into the tank. I put it low, I put it in a big section by itself, try to keep it shaded so it would grow slower, but it is growing quite fast. It's got tremendous color. I love the different color of polyps towards the growth area where they're more orange, and then in the inner circle part of the coral, it's more green, so that's cool. Okay, Garf Bonsai. I've just got all these classic corals in my tank. I just love them. I would say a good 90 days of growth here. A crust of the plug, again, it's well under the rock. You can't see it, but towards the back of the rock, it's well on its way. And even some of the tips are growing, so that's good. A tremendous polyp extension, great color, deep purple coloration with bright green polyps. One of my favorite corals, but I think this is a big encruster too. It's going to keep encrusting. But over the next 90 days, I think I'm going to start seeing some new branches shooting upward. So here is a Walt Disney, which was very expensive for me anyway, from what I would typically pay for a frag. And people say it's slow growing, but honestly, it's doing quite well. We're well onto the plug, encrusting over it. We've touched the rock. We've got a few little branches towards the back, kind of sprouting there. So, in all honesty, it's growing just as fast as any of my other corals at this point, faster than the Pearlberry. So I've been pretty happy with how this coral's looking. It's kept its coloration for the most part too, which is exciting. But I'm excited to see what the next 90 days hold for the Walt Disney. Okay, an ORA Hopkins. So I'm really happy with the improved coloration. A little bit deeper, brighter blue coming in. Still encrusting pretty slow. However, even though it's not fully encrusted onto the rock, I'm still, if you can look closely, you can make out the branches have grown. So I'm pretty pleased with how much this is growing before it lays its big base. So that's kind of exciting to see. But overall, classic coral. And I think by upping my nutrients quite a bit, I was able to see some more deeper coloration in most of these corals. But we're still going to tune that. We're just focusing on growth at this time. So this is a blue sniper, Acropora. So I picked this up from Adam at Battle Corals. I've had this coral before. It's one of my favorites. It's a blue coral. It doesn't show well in this video or in this picture, but with a bright, 14K colored light, very white light, the blue just pops. But it grows fast. This coral always has grown fast. You can see it's encrusted the plug, and the branches, they don't wait for a base on this one. So you're going to get branches sprouting before it lays its base, which is really nice to see and really encouraging. So I would say this is a pretty good grower for me, especially over the last 90 days. So again here, breaking the rules, not an Acropora, but I think this is good to see though. Again, you're going to get more growth. You're going to get faster growth with a Monty. And you can see that this is encrusted quite well and is growing quite quickly over the last 90 days, and it has a little better coloration. That's just, again, I was feeding more, but it also may just be tank maturity, to be honest. I haven't really focused on trying to get better color, just stability during this first year of this tank's life. But I'm pretty pleased. This will be a fun coral to watch played out and grow. It's a fast grower, and it's bright. You can see it well from a distance. Alright, up next we've got a Jason Fox Flame. And actually, guys, pretty quick growth. This thing encrusted very fast right when I put it into my tank. I was worried about the color. It looked a little pale to me, but with time, and it's encrusted well, and it got a little deeper red. The yellow got a little brighter. So I'm pretty pleased with how fast this is growing. I think, these do encrust a ways from my experience, but I think in the next 90 days we're going to start seeing some significant branching going on with this coral. Next up is a Petti Yellow Tip. Now here's an example, guys, where there's some significant growth here, but also this was a larger frag. So when you have a bigger coral, it's going to just look like it's going to grow faster because there's more opportunity for growth in all areas. So again, it's growing really well in the last 90 days. It's been a fast grower for me. I've gotten the yellow tips back. You can't quite make it out in the video, but in person the yellow tips are there, whereas when I got this coral it didn't quite have those yellow tips. But it's doing really well. Getting about, I would say, 300 par off to the right of the tank. So last but not least, the green slimer, right? Everyone knows this coral grows so fast. It's encrusted onto the rock. It's got multiple branches. You can't see there's one actually in the back that has sprouted. So this is really taking off. This is going to be a great grower and hopefully fill the backdrop of my tank on the right side. So that's it, guys. That's a handful of Acropora I've had for 90 days. What do you think? How would you rate that growth? I'm pretty happy. I think it's about average at best. I don't think it's super fast, but I don't think it's super slow either. As always, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching with me. Thanks for subscribing and liking. I really do appreciate the support. I will see you all in the next one.